2 years ago, everyone was calling Austin the fastest growing tech city in America. Companies were expanding, engineers were relocating, and headlines made it sound like the next Silicon Valley was forming in real time. But lately, the conversation sounds very different. Layoffs across tech, hiring slowdowns, venture capital cooling off, and suddenly a lot of people are asking the same question. Is Austin's tech boom already over? The short answer is no, but the more interesting answer is that Austin's tech boom was never exactly what people thought it was. Because when most people picture a tech boom, they imagine startups raising money and software companies hiring thousands of engineers. And that did happen here, but Austin's growth was never just about startups. The real shift has been much broader and much more structural. Tesla built one of the largest manufacturing facilities in the world just outside the city. Apple continues expanding its massive engineering campus. Samsung is investing tens of billions of dollars in semiconductor manufacturing in the region. Oracle moved its headquarters here, and when companies start building infrastructure on that scale, they are not making short-term bets. They are planning for decades of operation. That is a very different type of growth than the startup hype cycle most people associate with tech booms. Now, it is also true that the last couple of years have been really rough for the technology industry overall. Interest rates went up, venture capital slowed down, many companies overhired during the pandemic and had to correct. Layoffs happened across the entire industry. That affected Austin just like it affected San Francisco, Seattle, and New York. But when you zoom out, the bigger pattern becomes clearer. Austin's tech ecosystem did not disappear. It normalized. And normalization often looks like decline if you only remember the most extreme part of a boom. The difference now is that the ecosystem is maturing. So instead of just startups and venture capital, you now have multiple layers of the technology stack developing in the same city. Think about it. Software companies, hardware engineering teams, semiconductor manufacturing, robotics experimentation, AI development, advanced manufacturing operations. Very few cities in the United States have all of those layers forming at the same time. And that combination is what makes Austin really interesting long-term. Because when engineers working in different technical fields cluster in the same place, something really powerful tends to happen. They start to move between companies. They start to collaborate. They start new ventures together. And the ecosystem starts feeding itself. Tesla engineers build automation startups. Semiconductor engineers spin up chip companies. AI researchers collaborate with robotics teams. That type of cross-pollination is how major technology hubs actually form. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in a straight line. There are boom cycles and there are slowdowns, just like there's hiring waves and layoffs. But the underlying infrastructure keeps building. And that is the piece that many people miss when they look at Austin, Texas right now. They see fewer headlines about explosive growth and assume that the boom ended. But the deeper story is that the ecosystem is stabilizing and becoming more complex. Another factor people underestimate is talent migration. Engineers are still moving here. Maybe not at the same breakneck pace as during the pandemic, but the inflow has not stopped. Austin still offers something many tech workers are looking for: a growing city, a strong technical job market, and a cost structure that is still easier than most coastal tech hubs. And that combination continues attracting engineers, founders, and investors. And when talent keeps moving into a city, the long-term trajectory tends to remain really strong. Now, none of this means Austin is immune to tech cycles. The technology industry moves in waves after all. Hiring expands and contracts and expands again. We all know that. That pattern has repeated for decades. What matters more is whether companies continue investing in infrastructure and talent in a particular location. And so far, the answer for Austin is clearly yes. Tesla continues expanding operations. Apple continues hiring engineers. Samsung is building one of the largest semiconductors facilities in the entire country. Those are not short-term signals. Those are long-term bets on the city's future. So when people ask whether Austin's tech boom is already over, well, the more accurate answer is that the boom phase is evolving into something much more stable. It's less hype. It's more infrastructure, less speculation, more real industry forming underneath it. And in the long run, that tends to be a much stronger foundation for a technology ecosystem. Now, if you're watching this thinking you're considering moving to Austin for a tech job, there is another layer to this conversation that matters a whole lot. The growth of the tech ecosystem here is also reshaping the housing market. Different companies tend to cluster in different parts of the city, and that affects where people choose to live. Tesla employees often live in a very different neighborhood than Apple engineers or startup founders. Understanding those patterns can make a big difference when you're deciding whether you want to live in Austin. That is something I talk about a whole lot on this channel. So if you're interested in Austin tech, the housing market, how the city is evolving, consider subscribing. I post new videos every single week breaking down what's actually happening here and what it means for the people moving here. I'm Amber Haley, and I can't wait to see you in Austin.